Welcome to Lowcountry View of Hilton Head. My name is Earl Yates. I'm your host, and today my guest is Phil Schembra. Phil is a local personality, and I'd like to say celebrity also. Just a wealth of knowledge comes from Phil. Whether the topics is business, politics, or just living on the island in general. So sit back, and you have him for both segments of the show, and enjoy the information you'll get. I'm sure I'm going to. And you're going to learn something new. I'm sure before the show is over, you'll get something, a little tidbit of something you never knew about Hilton Head. Well, Phil.
Thank you for the nice introduction. Appreciate it.
Oh, you deserve it by all means. Let's just, I guess, this is your second appearance on the show. The first was, you only had one section, so we tried to speak briefly about politics. You know, we spoke about the mall and everything because, of course, you had the elections coming up. Let's start there where we finished off. We now have Lee Edwards in councilman's seat. Our mayor, Drew Laughlin, he's still pretty new in his position. Where are they leading us now? Where do you see the island heading with those two men in place?
Well, first of all, I think that they're both going to be tremendous assets to the community. And I think that, like anything else in life, you get to a certain point where you need change. And that's no reflection on the previous people, but you just need people who either have fresh ideas or different visions for the community. And I think we're at that point in the development and the history of our island where we had to take some of the core beliefs and philosophies that made us successful as an island, i.e. the land management ordinance, and say that its time is past it and we need to move forward and move on and make changes to the LMO, the land management ordinance, that will allow us to be more competitive to other resorts who are newer. And it's not that they have more vision, but in some cases they've learned very well from us, have repeated what we've done, but have done it in a newer fashion. So I think for us, the changes that we've made will be very positive because it'll give us a chance to rewrite the land management ordinance so that we can redevelop our community, not to overdevelop it because the density on the island has already been put in place, but to take the old and make it new and make it modern and make it competitive to what the competition in the southeast of the country is doing. So I think it's good.
And we also have a topic that, of course, we have our heritage coming up very soon. We have, I guess, about 2 weeks before that starts. I believe her name is Laura Van Harden. I guess she was in the news not too long ago. A little controversy there, but her point was the county, the Lowcountry, taking on the heritage as our own instead of going out for a big sponsor. What do you feel about that?
I think it's quite unrealistic. I think that for the local area to take on the financial responsibility, not the management, not the running, not the promotion, but the financial obligation of between $5 or $8 million a year for a 5-year contract may be too much for the local area. We don't have that kind of resources, I think, to pull from. And I don't think from a political standpoint that it really would fly. So if you ask me to vote on it, I think the ideal world is for the Heritage Foundation to be running the way it's running, and they've done a superlative job. It's one of the more popular tour stops. It's our 42nd year, so obviously the pros like to come here. But I think we need a big infusion of capital to do it right and maintain the stature we have.
Now, of course, you said it's been here for quite some time. I'm sure you're going to be there 3 out of the 4 days at least, I would say, right?
No, every day. I'm a member of the Tartan Club, and I think one of the highlights of the year is to go down to the Heritage. It gives you a chance not only to see great golf, but to see people that maybe you normally don't run into during the course of the year. So I think there's a twofold benefit for us at having it. It's not only the notoriety the island gets, but it's the sheer fact that it brings the community together, and that's a good thing.
Oh, for sure. I think it's definitely a staple for us. I mean, the island in general, not only for the golf standpoint, but also the business standpoint. I mean, it's amazing how much revenue for the entire year is generated in that one little section. How has that worked for you in your life, your benefit, as far as the tourism standpoint? You have the golf. We used to have tennis, of course, back in the day. But how have you geared your life around situations such as
business-wise?
Absolutely.
Oh, I think from a business standpoint that the heritage keeps Hilton Head Island in front of millions and millions of people in the springtime, when in the Northeast and other areas, the weather just hasn't quite turned as well as they would like it to turn, so people are still indoors, and we get a great viewership out of people. CBS does just a spectacular job of promoting Hilton Head Island and the visual effects. So from a real estate standpoint, it can only help and benefit us to have millions of people see the island through the Heritage Golf Classic. So from a business standpoint, it's a win-win for everybody on the island. And I think maybe for a year or two, we'll have to bite the bullet and figure out a way to self-fund. But I think in the long run, as I said a minute ago, we need that capital infusion. But it's the biggest event in the state of South Carolina on a yearly basis. And I don't even think it's good for the state to lose our major event.
Absolutely. Now, alongside the heritage and our tourism, we spoke briefly before about just the family structure that Hilton Head has become and how the youth are starting to really gain their stride and really put forth work. Of course, your son Chris, he's by far one of the more motivated people I've ever seen in my life. You got to love him. I mean, of course you love him, but everyone else around loves him also. From a business standpoint, where do you see Hilton Head opening to where something that we haven't done before or something we haven't utilized?
I think with the internet and all the electronic ways that people can do business, I think that the island has a wonderful opportunity to bring small companies, or large for that fact, to the island to do their business. The quality of life that we possess on this island is superior to so many other areas. But I think what we're seeing in the recession is some people are saying, you know, enough's enough. I'm tired of banging my head against the wall, either from a business standpoint, from a climate standpoint, from a debt service standpoint. I think I'd rather be on Hilton Head, and I'm going to figure out what I need to do there to make it work, because the greatest asset we have is our people. And if we can find ways for them to live and work here, then it's a win-win for everybody. And our island needs that. It needs the diversification of people coming here who have clients throughout the United States or overseas.
Well, definitely, when we start the second part of the show, so I can gear you for it, I just took, this past weekend, I took a short trip to the mall. So, yeah, big-eyed, like everyone else. Let's get excited about that for the next trip. But I think this island is definitely in need for a big change. And I think we're heading in that direction, of course. Do you like what you see? Is the future, as far as the goodness of Hilton Head, close enough to you that you can definitely say it's already in shape?
I think, Earl, that Hilton Head Island probably has never been better positioned to get out there in the public eye as a very, very special community. And I don't think it's going to take a lot for us to get out there other than maybe real good marketing and promotion. We have a wonderful niche in the industry, from land planning, design, from low density to a year-round community, and a community that has hospitals and all the different things, and schools and volunteerism. I think, though, that sometimes the island people forget how good they have it, and they may internally, it's like anything else, when you have something so good, you take it for granted. I think we have to get out there and promote better who we are and what we stand for, because on the East Coast, there's not a finer land plan resort community than Hilton Head. So I think with all the things that the town is doing, i.e. what we spoke about before, the land management ordinance, the funding for beach nourishment, the amount of money we have to improve our infrastructure. When other communities are just trying to get by, we're improving. I know that it was controversial several years ago when Palmetto Dunes, as an example, wanted to put in a community enhancement fund, and I was all for it. A lot of people weren't because it was an extra fee.
Well, let's stop right there. We'll take a break and we'll pick up right there.
Perfect.
All right. Well, this has been the first part of Lowcountry View of Hilton Head. Phil Schembra is my guest, of course. Not to worry, he'll be right back. So take a break, get a drink, and I'll see you shortly. Okay.